Two different knives, same handle material, both finished off in a different way. If you want to find out how, just keep watching. Hey up everyone, it's Al here from Danum Blades. In this video I'm going to look at a couple of different handles. Not necessarily handle materials, but the way that the handles are going to be finished. So I've got a bunch here that I've got ready that I'm just about to shape up the handles of. So I've got some toxic green with some G10 and some orange G10 liners and some turbo glow liners. But the two that I'm going to look at are these two here. So it is two different knives. Both of them have got a similar blade on them, but that one is a catcher handle, so it's got the thinner handle on it with a little kickbacks for front and back, and then this one, which is one of my row stalker. The handle material on both of them is orange G10 liners, and the scales are, I think it's camouflage G10, so basically it's layered up green and black, but I'm going to finish them in two different ways to show up how the handles can look. So that one I'm going to put like a scalloped edge along top and bottom. Message has just come through, and then I'm just going to do the standard one on the top. The bonus with the sort of like the layers of G10 where it's the black and green, when you start shaping it, it leaves like a contoured effect, so like you see on a map for a mountain. So you can actually see sort of like the both sides are getting pretty similar in size. It's very handy material if you're just starting out shaping handles, using layered G10, just so you can start getting it sort of like just about right, draw the same on either side of it. So those are the two knives I'm going to do. Next job is to get them over onto the grinder and start sorting out the main profile. Well, I'm nicely creating a good layer of dust over everything at the minute. I have already hand sanded all the toxic green handles that I've got, and also this one, which is canvas micarta. Done these exactly the same as what you've seen, so put them onto my grinder, then put them onto the 72-inch belt with the scallop to the 1-inch wide scallop belt, which basically gets into all the curves. Then what I've done is I've put it onto me into me knife vise and gone through with a 120 grit and a 320, and now that's in a position where I'm ready to clean up all the edges and then get back onto the last few grits, which is I'll start with a 600, then an 800 and a 1200, then I can put it on the buffing machine and buff it all up, make it all nice and shiny. I've also, like I say, those are all finished. I've just done these with the scallop belts at the moment. On this one, on the sort of like catcher row combination, all I've done is gone over the top and the bottom edge with the scallop belt, because the sides I'm going to cut into, but I'm going to leave that to one side. I'm just going to clean these edges up first. That one I'm going to do, this row stalker, I'm going to do exactly the same as what I've done with the others. So get it into the vise, clamp it in. I always use, if I can find where I've put it, there it is. I've got a small G-clamp and I put that on as well, just to prevent it from moving anywhere. Because these tightening screws are sort of like a little bit further down the blade, grips the end of the blade, but if it was a longer knife, then it wouldn't be too much of a problem. But because they're only sort of like a 4-inch blade on it, I need something that just grips at the top end and it stops it moving about. Because I've got the tape on it, you sometimes get a little bit of movement, and the last thing you want is to have something stuck behind that tape, like a little bit of grit for some reason, and end up scratching your blade. So that one's all clamped in. I'll get my mask back on and I'll start hand sanding this one. Right, both knives are now in a position where the final finishing touches. So the road stalker, that's all now hand sanded, so that just needs to go on the buffing wheel and polishing up and sharpen the edge up, just clean the blade up. And still need to wet form the sheath for it. With this one, which is the hybrid catcher road stalker one, this one has got to have the scalloped handle added to it. So the way that I mark up my positioning for where I want to put each divot in, I suppose that's what you could call it, just line it up on I've got a board here that's got 1 centimetre marks on it, so I'm going to use 1 centimetre spacers, line it up for where I want the first one to be. So I'm going to have the first one just in, well, maybe probably 0.5 centimetre in from the front of the handle, and I'm just going to mark it with a pencil and then go along all the way down. So 1 centimetre spacers, and the last one there, and then one on the end there. Right, so that's all, the top one's all spaced up. The opposite side will be exactly the same place, but the ones underneath will be staggered by 5mm, so spaces in between. So because I've already marked them up on the board, I can then mark up on the space below. So the first one is in the space in between, so it almost takes out that little corner there. I'll sort the camera around so you can see from above, so you get a better idea. That's one side sorted. Just got to mark up the other side. Once I've done that, I can take you over to the grinder and show you the technical piece of equipment that I use to scallop my handles. So the technical piece of equipment. Basically, I've got this technical piece of wood cut at a technical angle, so I can use technical angle to place it against the belt. Now my grinder here, which is a Radius Master, I can tilt over and I've got a selection of different wheels on the top here. So I'm using the 1-inch wheel. It's going to start off with a 120 grit belt. I've usually started off with a 60 grit, but I sometimes get little scratch marks in it, so I'm starting with a slightly finer belt. See how that goes to start with. If it works all right, then I'll use that. Now I'll just grab the blade. So I've got the knife, and with the layered up material that's on the handle with the G10, you can sort of see how far you're going in each time you're grinding it. So basically all I'm going to do is hold the knife against the block, so it gives me the right angle, and just work it into this wheel here. And like I say, this has got a Radius Master with 3 different size wheels. Use the 1-inch wheel, work it in, it'll go in a couple of the contours, take it back out, onto the next one, onto the next one, go along the top, onto the bottom, swap the blade round and do the handle on the opposite side. It's fairly straightforward. I'm going to go through a few different grits as well, just to clean it all up a little bit, just get rid of the scratch marks from before. The last thing I'm going to do with this one though is to sandblast it. I'm not going to polish it up, I'm just going to give it a sandblasting. That should hopefully raise the grain of the G10 and just give a little bit of texture to the handle. So I'll just get kitted up and then I can start with this one. I'll just move my mask out that way. There we go. So that's the first bit. I forgot to set the camera going for the first section, so I've only got the last bit where I'm putting the grooves in. But there we go. A little bit of texture to the handles. Might need to work on that top one a little bit more. Probably because I must have done the bottom one first and then swapped over. It's a little bit out of place, but I'm not too worried about that. What I'm going to do now is swap over onto a different belt and start working on that through. Just clean up all little scratch marks and what have you. Right, while I'm messing about shaping those handles up on the grinder, I just want to ask a quick favour. Basically, if there's anything in this video or any of my other videos where you'd like a little bit more information, like me to expand on how my processes are and how I do them, stick them in the comments below. That also helps this channel out as well. And also, you know, the old other crap, a little like and subscribe and all that stuff. But most of all, stick a comment in, tell us what you think, tell us what you'd like to see, and hopefully I can try and sort that out in the future. Right, back to the grinding. Right, there we go, all scalloped up. So next thing to do is give this a sandblasting just to smoothen it all off and make it all uniform. Then I've got to clean the edges up. Still got to make a kydex sheath. So these two I'm thinking about putting green kydex, orange kydex, don't know. Gonna make a kydex sheath for them, and then I'm going to sharpen them. So I'll just show you blasting that one, and then hopefully the next bit will be all finished. There we go. That's both the knives finished. Kydex sheath done, the blades are cleaned up, it's all nice and sharp and ready to go now. So we'll start off with the rose stalker. Again, that's, like I say, it's this green and black G10, so you can see where the contouring effect is. When you start shaping the handle, get the contouring around. The orange, nice and bright. The brass pins, all nice and shiny, they're Corby bolts. So that's done in the general way that I'd make one of my handles, and it's all buffed up and nicely and polished. Now the next one, so this is the one that's all been sculpted. There we go. You can see how the black and green makes quite a nice pattern there as each one's sculpted in. The pins are a little bit more tarnished and the orange is a little bit duller. And the reason for that is quite simply is just because it's been sandblasted and it just takes that little bit of shine off it. Not necessarily a terrible thing. The orange is still quite visible. I've only done a couple of these blades. Well, I think I've done 3 so far. I've got another one. I'll show you some photos of that one that is going to be going up for a competition prize soon in the Rifle Shooter magazine. So make sure that you keep your eye out for that. Other than that, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you're interested in any of these knives, get in touch with us. If you want something making up, again, and don't forget, give us a comment below. It would all be appreciated. Otherwise than that, I'll see you later.